And the Titans, of course, were wearing the Houston Oiler throwback uniforms, something that they had said they would do for this week, going all the way back to the offseason. I want to say it was at the NFL draft where Warren Moon, I believe, confirmed that they might wear those uniforms against the Houston Texans in Nashville. So they wear them. And I know for a lot of people that grew up here that watching Oiler games in the Astrodome with your family might have been a really awesome memory growing up. And then all of a sudden, the 90s, early 90s with the Oilers happen, where they have some good teams, but some pretty epic collapses, whether it was the 34-3 blown lead against Frank Reich and the Buffalo Bills, or I believe the next season where they started off pretty damn well, right? Or did they start off 0-3 and then they reeled off a bunch of wins in a row, and then ultimately the season came to an end, I want to say, against Joe Montana and the Chiefs? Could be wrong on that front, but then from there on out, it was just a very, 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 very long ripping off of a Band-Aid, which ultimately saw the Oilers moving to Nashville. And obviously, there's still some people who live here who support the Titans. I don't understand that, but okay, to each their own. I'm wondering, for the folks left behind that gave the Adams the middle finger on the way out, was yesterday closure? Because you're going to be doing your own version of this in some way, shape, or form next year with a form of light blue. I'm not 100% sure about what. I'm sure there's some I's that needed to be dotted, T's that need to be crossed, and you, of course, have to worry about the Titans being very sensitive to the fact that the only piece of intellectual property that they own that has value is those Oilers throwbacks. So there's probably going to be some things that have to, get done before the Texans get to the finish line and add a new uniform into the mix. But does this give you closure? Seeing the Titans, formerly the Oilers, blowing a 13-0 lead against a Texans team that was without its star MVP candidate, rookie quarterback, that was without its top two receivers, that was without its other top 5 pick, a defensive lineman, that was without all of those things, and starting a third-string quarterback that used to play for the University of Houston. Does all of that add up to you being finally like, you know what? I don't really care about this anymore? Because I doubt that the Titans will do this again. They look like chumps today. They have embarrassed themselves, mainly because of the way that they handled this on the build-up, because it wasn't directed towards their own fans. It was 100% trolling of you, of, I guess, me, because I feel like I've been a part of this too by default. I just hate Titans fans. I think they're inbred hill folk. Some of them are cannibals, probably, but we can't confirm that. I just watched Wrong Turn starring Eliza Dushku up, and Sloan from Entourage is in it. It's a shame when Sloan gets decapitated. Not cool, but what? It's Wrong Turn.
Spoiler.
It's in West Virginia, which is in Appalachia, which is next to Tennessee. So, I mean, I'm sure that there's some cannibals there too.
Yeah, the Appalachian Mountains, they go down into
Lots
Tennessee. So
yeah, exactly.
They get lumped in.
So is this closure? Because I can't determine that, but I mean I think that's a nifty little cherry on top, a cute little bow. I don't feel like a need to wear them anymore. It's funny. It's you see your ex is still. I mean, those unis are awesome. So your ex is looking good, but then you watch them blow a lead, and I imagine to you it's sort of like the same thing where you see an ex and you remember all the things that maybe drove you crazy more than you look at her and say, oh, the great times we had. Instead, you're thinking like, oh yeah, like she used to pee the bed when she got drunk. Right?
Thank you for adding the second part.
Right. I mean, or she wouldn't let me hang out with my friends. I think that if I were in the shoes of somebody who had actually been through all of that, I think that Sunday would have been a nice way to get some closure because you won and you did it with a third string quarterback. And then you probably remembered, oh yeah, the Oilers did this to me all the time, letting me down when they shouldn't have. Specifically 35-3, but the other ones as well. That doesn't even belong to you anymore. They don't want it to belong to you. Great. Take it off of my plate. Take it out of my memory banks. I'm cool with it. That's how I think I would feel. But again, I didn't go through it, so I'm trying to be authentic here. I'm curious as to how you guys feel.
I mean, I also did not go through it, so I don't know. It really isn't for me to decide because, yeah, my entire position is just like, yeah, the jerseys are cool. Would love those. Earl Campbell's nice.
For me,
all the other stuff, I'm cool with. I'm cool with you having the rest of it.
Personally, for me, right. The nickname is cooler than Texans. No offense.
Oh yeah, that
we support big oil and gas here.
We do.
And the uniforms are great. The history part sucks. I feel bad for the players. Billy White Shoes Johnson should be introduced in front of NRG Stadium. You see Earl Campbell on the sideline meeting Derrick Henry before the game, and you're like, man, Earl Campbell not getting that Houston welcome in front of a crowd of 70,000 people. Like, that sucks. He deserves that more than anybody. The guy's in an effing wheelchair, you know? Like, that part really sucks.
He has a college football award named after him for the best college football player from the state of Texas, and he gets honored in Tennessee.
Yeah,
because of intellectual property reasons.
Right, exactly.
It's like it's Marvel and DC.
And to the McNair's credit, the McNairs have tried to do things. They have tried. There is one person who has been petty and kicked their and dragged their heels. And to her credit, Amy Adams has at the very least honored those players, but it's not the same. It's one thing to get honored, but like it's like getting honored in front of a totally another country. He's like, hey, here's the Medal of Honor. We're going to give you the Medal of Honor in Senegal. Like, just think of a random country that has nothing to do with yours. That's kind of what those guys are getting as far as a welcome. And it sucks. They're the ones that got screwed over the most in this. And a lot of them are too polite to say anything about it. Because I think that they well, hey, at least they're doing something for us. But no, it's not enough. It's not nearly enough. You deserve better. So there's never going to be closure there. Someone comments, D'Amico Senko, pretty sure players are more loyal to the owners. No doubt about it if they're signing the checks. But at the same time, you can't put a price on that, right? Like getting to go back and getting a standing ovation from people who have actually watched you play. No offense to those people in Nashville. There's no way that they can give them the proper amount of respect. HTX Rhino commented, no closure until the Oilers are back in Houston, and flips off the dead Bud and the Adams family. Damn. I think that when it comes to the way that they honor the players, that's the worst part for me. But I would feel some closure after yesterday. From the 713, hey, Paul, you're forgetting to mention the Oilers' meltdown against Denver and John Elway, I believe, in 1992. Sounds right.
Good point.
You can make it up.
Tennessee Titans history that we overlooked.
That's true. We overlook a lot of Titans history. Listen, you could just make up something about the Oilers blowing a lead, and I'd probably believe it. You know? The only teams in Oilers history that were ballsy were the ones that lost to the Steel Curtain Steelers teams. You know, we're talking 79 and 80. And the authentic Love You Blue days.